Hi everyone, and welcome to another e-learning video class. This is Tony B on the microphone, and this is a professional sales class that we're going to give in qualifying a customer. Okay, great. So let's get started. And qualifying a customer, you certainly need the attitude. You need to be able to really have a good attitude, and that's what really counts is your attitude. You need to be present, and you need to be seen. Certainly, that's really critical when it comes to qualifying a customer. And you have to be available. Pretty much the same thing. And again, be very attentive to this. I think we have to look at it very carefully when you do this. In the role play, is sometimes if you're big and tall, and your posture is very high, very tall, you're in the customer's way. You need to move over and be on the side. So when you qualify a customer, again, you have to have the smile. I can't repeat this enough. I saw sometimes when we do the role playing, we forget to smile, so you need to smile. And you don't need any presumptions. You have to be very careful with presumptions when it comes to sales. And you have to consider all customers equal. I think we also discussed this on the initial greetings when we did it, or when we do the greetings. I discussed this to make sure that you always consider all the customers as equal. So let's get started. For qualifying, before we get into the questioning part, and you'll enjoy that on a separate video, this one is really just to show you a certain strategy that's been used for a long time. So we're going to get into that now. So you must determine the customer needs. So this is what qualifying does, right? It prescribes a solution and also leads into the customer needs, and so which product that you're going to present. And this is certainly, like I said about presumptions, you don't fully understand a customer's needs at this stage. So you need to qualify. And if you don't, well, you just might miss out on a sale. So you got to be careful with that. So let's keep going. So certainly we need to qualify by using certain professional techniques, which I'm going to show you. And you need to follow them. And this is the thing about sales, is really, it's not really an art form as a lot of people think. It's really a skill. So you need to have well-asked qualifying questions. And this is one way, again, I repeat this, you build the customer's confidence. We talked about being genuine in the greetings. Certainly genuine and sincerity go hand in hand. So quickly, here are some questions that you might ask. Who will be using this product? What type of product do you have now? What do you like about your current product? And the opposite, what don't you like about it? So these are just typical questions that you could ask in qualifying to break the ice, as we say, to get going, right? So here's some more. Have they seen anything they liked from friends or elsewhere? You can ask questions about that. Why did they like it? Again, why is a very difficult question to ask. But yes, you can ask a question like this. How often do they use this product? If they have bought this product or similar, or in the future, how many times do you think they're going to use it? What do they mainly use it for? So these are typical questions that you need to ask that are very open. We're not looking at closed questions. So qualifying, really, you need to explore, right? You need to explore areas that the product might be used for, especially those which might not have occurred to the customer. Sometimes you will surprise the customer. Oh, I didn't know that this product could be used for this. So that's is why you qualify. So qualifying, really, customers want associates to be interested in them. So let's say if a doctor asks one question and gives you a prescription and says, if it gets worse, come back. Not sure if that's the solution for that. What would you think, right? Perception is low because interest is low. The doctor probably has too many clients or too many patients to see that he really just wants to cut it short. So this is not a very good feeling when you get out of the doctor's office when they just asked you one or two questions, right? So customers want associates, again, to be interested in them, right? So more questions doctors ask, better cure, better explain prescribed medication, and certainly you will feel more confidence and that you will get well and that you've got the cure in your hands. So same thing in sales, exactly the same thing in sales, right? If those questions are not asked, the customer comes back after you not asked them any questions. Certainly, they won't have the confidence to talk to you. They probably want to talk to somebody else. But if you qualify them very well, very difficult for them to come back and say, I didn't give you the right answers to the questions that you asked. They would feel a little bit more obliged to do so. Again, I'm going to show you here now is this video is going to be a little longer. We're not going to do this in class this long. So do watch the video in class. We're going to keep it short and sweet because I really want to do more role playing in class. So there'll be less of this in class. So again, please watch the video here instead of just expecting to see all this in class. You're not going to. So qualifying customer, you need to observe. Again, listen attentively. Your gestures are seen and observed, certainly, by them, right? And they will look at your nonverbals, how you look at them, how you smile, how you don't smile, your hands. All these gestures will really play a big part. And you on your part certainly will look at your communication style, but guess what? They will also. So you need to ask proper questions. So I'll show you a way we could do this, a sales strategy that's been around for a very long time and still works today. It's called AIDA or AIDA or AIDA. Choose one. I know all are correct. So AIDA or AIDA, as I call it, right, starts with awareness, attention. Then it goes into interest, desire, and finally action. So this is an old sales strategy that's been around a long, long time, but it really, really works, right? This has been going on for probably back when sales even started in the before the war, actually, in World War I. So this really works, and sales training about this actually started in the 50s. So AIDA has been around for a very long time, but only training this strategy of sales, right, only started in the 1950s. So AIDA, really what it does, AIDA, describes basic sales process, right? It's still relevant in retail sales today, as I mentioned, and also applies to advertising. So AIDA, buying according to the AIDA process, right? Also sell through the AIDA process. This works both ways. So a customer could use the actual AIDA process, and certainly sales can do the same. So first, what happens in AIDA? You need to get attention, right? And from attention, we go to becomes relevant and interesting and want to know more. The customer wants to know more about the product. From there, matches the needs, then becomes a desire, which is up top above a need. It becomes a desire. And there is action to buy. So there you go. This is really what AIDA is all about. So let's break this down. Okay, let's look first at attention. So if you look at attention, the first thing we look for is the first time or the first words that you say. So the first words that you say are the most important. The first 10 words Like as I mentioned, and the greeting is one thing, but in this stage, where you lead and the questions that you ask initially are the most important. Right? So the attention sets the tone. So your first impressions certainly count on both sides on this. So you have to understand that this works on both sides. It's not just on the sales side, but the customer side too. There's attention on both sides. And the best way to do it is to pay attention and have attention is certainly just to be yourself, be happy, be natural, be neutral, I should say, be natural also, honest, professional. Stay inside that range and you'll be fine to start with the attention level. Right? You don't want to avoid certain things because attention is certainly not easy. If you look at certainly how to listen even sometimes and how people listen, certainly if you speak 150 words a minute, your brain is going at 1,000 words a minute. So the process there is very difficult. So you really need to get the customer's attention that they're actually listening to those first few words. Right? So they don't like gimmicks, they don't like tricks, they don't like any of this gestures. Too many gestures. This is what I say about your hands flying all over the place. Certainly you've got to keep them quiet a little bit, and the minimum amount of gestures, the better. And this will certainly irritate more than attract, right? This will not make the customer feel good, and there'll be a lot of pressure, and it will not feel relaxed. So this is the number one part of AIDA. So there's attention. Next one is interest. Right? Here we have to create positive interest. All of this is happening in qualifying, in between, I should say, greetings and qualifying. This is happening in approach, and it goes from the latter stages of greeting into actual approach and into the first stages of qualifying. So interest, positive interest, and know your advantages of your product. You need to know your product. You need to know really what are the ins and outs of your product. And this has to be relevant, and it has to be advantageous for the customer. The customer will be interested, and you got to show interest at the same time. Again, this process is a two-way street. So product interest, really determine if a customer has potential need for your product or service or proposition. Then after greeting, this of course comes after the greeting is finished. So you must approach the other person, and certainly this is all happening at the same time. So after the greeting is completed, this is happening, the interest level. This is where your empathy and your understanding is at its peak, right? You have to be able to express yourself to them clearly. We talked about language and why I bring up language all the time, because when you qualify, you need to ask the question properly using the least amount of words. Less is best. From interest, we go to desire. If you've done your job so far with interest, you've created the interest, now there is desire. The customer wants to know more, right? Customer wants to know more because he knows that, or she knows, satisfaction is to their advantage, right? So need to identify customer need through empathic questioning. Certainly, this is where empathy plays a huge role. I think you saw that a little bit in the link I posted in Google Classroom. With that, you build rapport and you build trust. So desire has to be relevant, right? It has to create and understand your product. It has to create a certain objective and relevance to the customer. And now we are past the presumption stage. There is no presumption now if you've done this correctly, because the customer went from need to desire. So creating desire, not an easy thing to do, right? And so this is certainly a skill that you have to have and work at in sales. This is why we prepare and we train, because once you get on the floor and you start talking to customers, you need to have that skill pretty intact or close to it. And the technique and certainly your behavior plays a big part. And as I mentioned also, personality. So in today's selling, right, we can call it modern selling, this is really important. Trust and relationship, and you as the personality, you as the sales associate, they will always equivocate you to the sale, always. From desire, we go to action. And in action, it converts from potential to actuality. This is where now you're going to see realistically how the customer is going to buy. The desire is so high. This is where the questioning part is really critical. You achieve or move closer to the sales aim. So here's really where you're going, and you're trying to skip over. We are going to do objections and we are going to do negotiations, but we really want to skip those two and go straight from here to sales close. Not an easy thing to do, but that is always the goal. So let's break it down. I was showing you this chart, and you can have an understanding of what the mindset is, right, of the customer. So let's take a look at this. Awareness, the mindset, I want some cool pants. So the key words here, the customer mentioned that at the beginning, right? I want cool pants. I want some cool pants, the pants, trousers. This is all the concept of the keywords that are coming to your mind. From interests, what styles are available, right? So this is another interest level that the customer is thinking in his mind or her mind. So these are the type of jeans, let's say, or pants that are available. From there is desire. Which is the right style for me? So this is where the research really comes into play, talking about the style and going from interest to desire. And then action. They found the ones that they want, and now they're ready to buy. If the qualifying is done properly, right, they will go straight to closing. Here's another way of the upside down triangle could look. Grab their attention, build their interest, create the desire, and persuade them to take action. That's basically what you're trying to do in AIDA. So this is really just a concept of AIDA. We're going to get into the questioning part next, and I'll show you a little bit more about the questioning part, exactly what has to be done. And so, hope you watch this video a little bit more and get to know a little bit more about qualifying customer. Now we're going to get into something even more interesting and how to build the questions. See you later.